Well, with me now is somebody that we all know from The Chase, of course, but Shaun Wallace is also supporting the Black Lives Matter protests with the hope that they will lead to some sort of lasting change. Shaun, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate that. And we just heard from Ross there about what's happening in the US. It's all very, you know, it's gone from, I think, being very angry to actually being extremely dignified and people just wanting change. You know, they're just drawing a line in the sand and they're saying no more.
The anger, which is totally understandable in relation to the death of George Floyd at the hands of police officers who simply disregarded not only his human dignity as a human being, but also his human rights and his legal rights. And I'm glad that there's been a sort of shift of emphasis from anger to one of a dignified response, because I think it's important that the way in which we approach the important change which must take place is not to actually use violent means in order to actually affect change, because we'll lose the argument otherwise. But it's important that we continue the pressure and the campaign to ensure that the change so far as racism is concerned is totally eradicated.
Now, you're a barrister, as well as, obviously, we know you, of course, has been extremely knowledgeable. You know, we see that every night when you're on The Chase. We do see that. But from your experience, I mean, you know, as a black man living in the UK, even though you're a professional person, you still experience racism. You were still, you know, the stop and search law, all of that. You experienced that.
Absolutely. On two occasions, I was coming out of Kingston Crown Court with a solicitor who happened to be white, and I was approached by these plainclothes police officers who basically said that you fit the profile and description of a person who just who was involved in a robbery. And I was simply taken aback and startled. And they said to me, "Where were you?" And I said, "Well, I was at Kingston Crown Court." "What were you doing there?" I said, "Well, if you look inside my bag, you'll see what." And when he saw my robes, he was totally astonished. And on another occasion, I was coming from Liverpool Crown Court, and I was just getting off the train at Watford Junction. And again, I was approached by these two plainclothes police officers, and I was a bit startled why they were coming up to me. And again, they said the same thing to me, that you fit the profile of a person we want to talk about a robbery. And I was totally startled. And again, I had to show them my wig and gown. And they wasn't even apologetic in relation to their conduct and response. But the way in which I say to young people, because I like to go into schools and colleges, because what's happening in England, which has been happening far too long, is that the way in which young black boys in particular have been stopped and searched has been done so in a disrespectful fashion, and the way in which they've been treated is totally disregarded for their human rights. But the way I say to young people, not everybody can be like me in terms of the way in which you respond. I always say to young people, if you are stopped and searched, you've got nothing to fear if you've done nothing wrong. So simply just, you know, respond to the police officers in a sort of dignified and calm manner.
See, that's what I was thinking when you were telling me that story, how on earth you respond to that without getting extremely angry, because, you know, that is what they did was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. I mean, but how you deal with that, and it's, for some people, it's almost on a daily basis.
It is, but so far as I'm concerned, I'm never ever going to give a police officer an excuse in terms of my conduct to basically give them a reason to arrest me. And as I say, I've been stopped countless times, not only in my capacity as a barrister. When I was a young boy growing up, I used to be stopped countless times. But the one thing I would never ever do is give a police officer an excuse to arrest me. So the message which I would like to come across to young people is this. You know, it's very, very difficult for you not to react. But to react in a way which will give them an excuse to arrest you is one thing can be avoided, I think.
So it's really interesting what you say about that you give talks, not just in schools, but I know you go to prisons as well and try, yes, and you try to make a difference, and you're doing a tremendous job. But you said that you wanted to be not a role model, but a goal model. I remember when we were talking last time when we spoke about your autobiography. And what do you mean by that, a goal model?
What I mean by that is that when people look at my life and what I've achieved so far, it's all about, you know, hard work, trying to achieve your goals and ambitions. The reason I don't want to be described as a role model is this. People have a tendency to put role models on a pedestal. And you know, I'm human like everybody else. I've got feet of clay. And the fall from grace can be swift and unrelenting. So I'm comfortable sitting on the floor in terms of my position, in terms of my public profile. And I don't want the fact that I am well known in the public eye to basically make a difference to the message which I want to put across.
But it gives you a wonderful platform to be able to do that. Shaun, do you feel, because we have talked about this week, and we were talking about it yesterday with Ross, that there's a feeling that things actually will change? I mean, I know we have been here before, but this somehow feels different. Do you get that feeling?
I do think it's different, and the reason why it's different is because it's not only just a sort of local response in America or in England, it's a worldwide response. And the one thing which I'm sort of empowered and proud of the fact that it's young people who are taking the initiative. Because remember this, young people represent the future, and it's they who will make the positive change in the future. And, you know, people like myself are simply the guardians of the present. And we know what has happened in the past. As I say, so far as racism is concerned, it's not something which is going to go away. It's been going on, and we as black people and the black community at large have been suffering that for years. And they say that we live in a sort of 21st century, and we, you know, are treated equal in the eyes of the law in terms of anti-racial discrimination. But the reality is what has changed, especially in relation to how young people, especially black young people, are treated on the streets by police officers when they're stopped and searched, because a disproportionate number of them are being stopped and searched. And you've got to ask why. It is basically because of the colour of their skin.
Shaun, thank you for talking to me. I think there is a bit of optimism. You're absolutely right. This is happening all over the UK and Northern Ireland too. It's the whole of the country. The whole of the country, I think, has to change. And I'm optimistic. I think that it will happen, and it will happen when we've got people like you on our side. Thank you for talking to us this morning. Really appreciate it. Thank you.